Countess of Snowdon, and the younger sister Queen Elizabeth II, was arguably one of the most popular royals in the modern history. Known for her rebellious nature and determined personality, she made headlines around the world for her party girl lifestyle and her relationship with her father's equerry, Group Captain Peter Townsend, a romance that featured in the blockbuster series The Crown.
Princess Margaret, in full Princess Margaret Rose Windsor, Countess of Snowdon, born August 21, 1930, Glamis Castle, Scotland, died in February 9, 2002, London, England. British royal, the second daughter of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, and the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth II. She struggled through her life to balance an independent spirit and artistic temperament with her duties as a member of Britain's royal family. Margaret was the first member of the royal family in some 300 years to be born in Scotland, at her mother's family seat of Glamis Castle. Her education was supervised by her mother, and she and her sister was entrusted to a governess. Margaret showed an early interest in music and took piano lessons from the age of 4. She was 6 years old when her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated and her father became king. After that, Princess Elizabeth, as heir to the throne, received a separate education, while Margaret continued under her mother's supervision. In addition, she was required to take part in public engagements. Margaret, who became known for her glamour and beauty, displayed an early love for nightlife and the arts. When she was in her early 20s, she fell in love with Group Captain Peter Townsend, a war hero who had served as an equerry to her father. Their romance became public knowledge when Margaret was seen brushing Lintoff Townsend's jacket at her sister's coronation in 1953. Although Townsend and Margaret wished to marry, the fact that he was divorced made the marriage unsuitable, and Margaret gained worldwide sympathy in 1955 when she publicly renounced their plans to wed. Margaret was already a feature on London's social and art scene when she began secretly seeing photographer Anthony Armstrong-Jones in 1958. The announcement of their engagement in February 1960 caught by many surprise. They were married on May 6, 1960, in the first royal wedding to be televised. Armstrong-Jones was created Earl of Snowdon in 1961. Her extravagant style also prompted outrage. Her wedding cost the British government £25,000, the equivalent of $65,000, and her 6-week honeymoon on the royal yacht Britannia cost £40,000, or about $115,000. In later years, she was criticized for demanding motorcycle escorts and government helicopters to travel around Britain. The marriage was at first successful, and they had 2 children. David Viscount Linley, born in 1961, and Lady Sarah, born in 1964. By the 70s, however, the couple had grown apart. When Armstrong Jones wanted a divorce from his already estranged wife, it was up to Margaret's private secretary, Lord Nigel Napier, to deliver the news over the phone, to which the princess replied, "Thank you, Nigel. I think that's the best news you have ever given me." Princess Margaret was often seen in the company of famous men, including Mr. Sellers. She also began to spend more time on the Caribbean island of Mastic, where a friend, Colin Tennant, had given her lands as a wedding present, and where she built a vacation home known as Les Lizu. In September 1973, at a luncheon in Edinburgh, she met the 25-year-old Roderick Llewellyn, who soon became a favorite companion. The son of minor nobility, Mr. Llewellyn had worked briefly at a mine in southern Africa as an apprentice brewer in England. 5 months after meeting Princess Margaret, he spent 3 weeks as her guest in Mastic. Although their relationship was soon an open secret in royal circles, the Queen, according to Mr. Aronson, was said to have disapproved of Mr. Llewellyn and what she called "my sister's gusher-snipe life." Meanwhile, the relationship between the princess and Mr. Llewellyn set off a storm in the Parliament. When Mr. Llewellyn was hospitalized with stomach problems during a trip to the Caribbean in March 1978, reports that the princess went to his bedside prompted critics to demand that her royal allowance, then more than $100,000 a year, be cut. The battle was played out in the newspaper, with some calling for her to end her relationship with Mr. Llewellyn and take her work more seriously, and others writing in her defense. Then in May 1978, while she was hospitalized with hepatitis, Kensington Palace, where she lived, issued a statement announcing her divorce from Armstrong Jones, an action that ended a 400-year-old taboo on divorce in the royal family. In the fall, Princess Margaret, on an official visit to Tuvalu in South Pacific, became ill and had to be flown to Sydney, Australia for treatment. Princess Margaret's dramatic private life had long taken a toll on her health. She smoked heavily, and her enthusiasm for Scotch sometimes shocked her companions. In 1974, according to Mr. Aronson, she suffered a nervous breakdown. The princess herself remained reticent about her private life. "I have no intention of telling people what I have for breakfast," she once said. Through the years, the princess had corresponded with Peter Townsend, and in 1992, while he was on a rare visit to Britain, she invited him to lunch at Kensington Palace, attended by several other people. The 77-year-old group captain and the 61-year-old princess sat and chatted like the old friends they were. Group Captain Townsend died in Paris in 1995. It was often speculated how different her life might have been had the two been allowed to marry. In my opinion, this was the turning point to disaster for the royal family, said Harold Brooks Baker, publishing director of books Peerage. At the time of Group Captain Townsend's death, After Princess Margaret was denied marriage, it backfired and more or less ruined Margaret's life. The Queen decided that from then on, someone in her family wanted to marry would be more or less acceptable. The royal family and the public felt that they had gone too far in the other direction. Princess Margaret is survived by her son Lord Linley, her daughter Lady Sarah, and 3 grandchildren. As she grew older, the princess lived less in public eye. Mr. Aronson quoted her as saying, "They leave me alone these days. Today they have other fish to fry." Eventually, her extensive charitable work, combined with a new, more modern sympathy for the restricted options she faced, gained her a measure of public respect. Princess Margaret, who smoked and drank heavily throughout her adult life, was often in ill health. She had surgery for possible lung cancer in 1985 and later suffered a series of strokes. After her third stroke, the princess died on February 9, 2002 in London.